What is up, everyone? First off, 255 subscribers. I I'm very appreciative of y'all, and I really do appreciate, you know, the people like watching my videos and starting to actually check me out and all the other stuff. Although I'm pretty sure the only reason why some folks are subscribing to me is because they think that all my videos are going to be like the the one where I talk about Wall Street bets or the DC one. And I do plan on talking about that a little bit more, but this is just a personal channel for my personal views and stuff like that. But all in all, for any people who are genuinely subscribing to me because they support what I do and or say, thank you. And I really do appreciate it. Also, hey, check it out. My nail grew back. Um, you could check that out. You could see in older videos. I smashed my fingernail at work one time, and I didn't have it here, and it was all black and swollen. Now it's looking like a whole nother nail. But yeah, I have a lot that I do want to talk about, or rather, sort of retouch up on. But like, let's just go ahead and get right down to it. I hate the phrase "I'm grown." When I was a kid growing up, whenever I saw anybody do anything irresponsible or reckless or dangerous or whatever, they would always say the phrase, "I'm grown, I do what I want." And I hated that phrase because like before that phrase, I never knew that being a specific age was a flex. Because I was aware of what time was. I was aware of like what numbers were. I was aware of like addition and things like that. So it's like when you're a kid growing up in those ages and you hear, and you're aware that numbers grow up, it's like, I mean, like having somebody tell you, "I'm grown and you're not," when you're a child and you know about numbers and math, and you're saying, "Well, in a few more years, I will be grown too." What will you say then? You're more grown? I was a little smart aleck kid growing up, and I like looking back, I totally deserve some of the butt kicks I got. But yeah, I always hated the phrase "I'm grown, I do what I want" because I grew up poor, and when I realized, like, to put this in perspective, I was depressed from like 8 years old. I had like actual, like really bad depression as a child, and so it's like everything looked different to me. Like, I mean, add television to that, everything just looked much more different to me. A lot of stuff that was provided to me, like information wise, was challenged by stuff I was actively seeing. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of television, and one of the big things that television like showed were like kids going on vacations to like other countries with their families. And I remember always wanting to, sort of like see Spain and France and Mexico and things like that. And like as a child, it just clicked on my head. Like, I will probably never be able to do that because my family is poor, you know? So it was like less of, it really changed my viewpoint on like a lot of things that other people would talk about basically being entitled to. And that's all it took. That's all it took for me to like never care about being grown. Because by the time I was 16 years old, I when I was 16 years old, I want to say I got my first job out of 16 or 17. I don't know, but like because I was in such a big rush to get a job and get money so I can get stuff that I wanted. When I was my mom used to be like, "Get grown, get a job, and get your own stuff," and I would be like, in my brain, I'd be like, "Yeah, I will. I'll show you. I'm gonna get a job, buy a car, and I'm out this popsicle stand. I'm gonna start, doing all this cool stuff that I wanted to do, because it's gonna be easy to do that because I'm gonna have money." Boy, was I wrong. Being grown is awful, and like the thing that really annoyed me the most about being grown was that people like it wasn't just like my family and friends. It was people in general just pushing this ideal that becoming an adult is like the greatest thing on the planet. They didn't tell you about bills. They didn't tell you about like working. Nobody told you it was basically if you become an adult, you get a car, life is gonna be sweet. And I'm like, and that was only the lesson that was actually pushed on me. Bro, when I became an adult, like I said, 16 years old, and I got a job because I wanted to kind of get ahead of the curve a little bit, only to find out that like minimum wage was like $5 an hour. Yo, I was hurt. Man, I was hurt. It's taking a lot not to cry right now because it was like life comes at you fast, bro. Like the only people who I know for a fact will like say that being an adult is awesome is more than likely like rich people or people who have like entitlements or friends that could probably like help them out when they're in a jam or whatever. And I didn't have any of that. I'm like, man, being an adult sucks. Like, being it's like, I'm starting to think that there was a bit of a denial there. Like there's a gap. Like when children become adults back in those times, they were just happy to be out of the family house. You know what I mean? So it's like they will ignore all the terrible stuff just to be able to say, well, at least I'm not at the house with those parents anymore. I'm an adult now. And it's like, oh, I mean, okay, that's cool. Man, being grown is just straight up trash, bro. It's just work and bills and work and bills. Like you start to realize, like, I don't like probably not for everyone, but I know for a fact for me, like, learning how to read at a young age made me very inquisitive. I started anthilling things, and anthill is just my way of saying like rabbit hole, but I don't like saying rabbit hole because I feel like ant hills are much much bigger in comparison. But yeah, ant hill. I remember and the first thing I always find myself asking was, why does everything suck so bad? And you know, just researching it, and it's like, oh, politics. Okay, that makes sense. Like, and that's speaking of politics. This is actually a segue into politics, y'all. I can't stress this enough. 2022 is an election year. I get it. I don't like talking about politics because of the fact that I feel like, I mean, it like, on the outside looking in, it sounds like some kind of shadow corporation that's in charge of everything, just making stuff miserable for anybody who has a pay rate less than $100,000 a month. But it's more than that. It's not a it's not a shadow organization, and it's not all smoke and mirrors and covering things up. You can actually go on like websites that the government allows you to be on, and they tell you things about what's going on. They give you a history report about all this stuff. Like, I just recently learned that the executive branch of America is not just the president. It's the president, the vice president, the first lady, and all of these departments, that like 15 departments. So you got like the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, the Department of Labor, the Department of Human and Health stuff. Like, all of these things are like stuff that I didn't know about until just now. I didn't know that the Department of Justice was part of the executive branch. I thought the Department of Justice was part of the judicial branch because, Supreme Court and stuff. So it's like, I'm stressing this because of the fact that it's not much, it's not enough just to vote. You should like totally be just like focusing on specifically what your community is doing. Like, 2020, every 2 years is a election year. Every 2 years. That's one reason why I keep saying 2022 is an election year, because it is. You're not just voting for, you know, House and senators, but you're also voting like on a local level for stuff like, judges, prosecutors, district attorneys, chief of police, mayors, and a whole bunch of laws and mandates that you are in charge of. You. This is your future. And I hate to point that out, but the fact is that like this is important. It's not like something worth ignoring. And it's like, and even if you don't know what to vote for or who to vote for or what to do, that's what research is for. You have like years to research and try to figure things out and understand things, because of the fact that a lot of people, I feel like, I feel like what happens in politics is that it gets purposely overcomplicated simply because the people who are in power want to sort of disillusion and just sort of like wear out the people, us. And if we're disillusioned and we're worn out, then we're just gonna give up and just fall in line. And historically speaking, we have never really done that for too long. We see that things start to suck and we realize we could do things to fix this. We could form unions. We can protest. We can do petitions. We could run for office. We can do things to actually change the situation for us for the better. And I feel like in this day and age we've lost sight of that because we don't see anything happen as instantly as we want it to be. So it's like nobody wants to play the long game anymore. And that's the challenge. But all I'm saying is that we do have to play the long game. The people who made Tulsa, Oklahoma, played the long game and they succeeded until they didn't. Black Wall Street played the long game and they succeeded until they didn't. Malcolm X played the long game and he succeeded until he didn't. Martin Luther King played the long game and he succeeded until he didn't. The fact of the matter is, the thing that these all have in common is that like these are all just small little uprisings that didn't get like capitalized on because people saw the things fail or fall apart and was like, well, that's the end of that. And that shouldn't be the thought process that goes into this. What you want to do when you see like something get broken down that you enjoyed, you want to rebuild it. You want to bring it back. You know what I'm saying? If we can bring back, man, I don't even know what examples we can use for. I mean, like right now, X-Men, the old school TV series that we watched, is coming back. You know what I'm saying? Sonic the Hedgehog. Before his movie came out, he was shown with the human looking face and the human mouth. And fans lost their minds and they petitioned against that and literally cyberbullied the studio to make Sonic look correct. And now Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the bigger movies of that year, if I'm not mistaken. We can do things as a people to make things better. If we can do the small things like that, imagine the bigger things that we can do if we actually researched and cared. You say you're grown. Time for you to do some grown people stuff. Go vote. Or at least do some political research. Go learn. All right, y'all. Love and peace. And safety. I'm about to actually learn sign language so I could try to know the sign for safety. I don't know how it is. But I'm not going to be doing this for safety anymore. I'm going to retire that. But yeah. Love and peace. Be safe out there. Be happy. And please, just know that your kids' futures are on the line for this. Oh, man, 13 minutes. That's a